I'm getting really frustrated with myself. And the reason I'm getting really frustrated with myself is because I can never seem to pick a lane. What world do I live in? Digital or analog? Paper planning or calendar apps? Feather Quill or ChatGPT? The truth is, every time I think I am a digital-only girly, I am always sucked back into the world of paper planning. Because at the end of the day, writing things out by hand is good for you. It improves memory, cognitive health, learning, and a bunch more. That's why in this video, we are gonna talk about the benefits of planning things out by hand, and you're gonna get some tips on how to incorporate paper into your digital system if you are making the switch for the first time. Okay, first, let's talk about writing itself. Because of course the planning, the note-taking, the whatever you're doing, it's all gonna be actually done with writing. So we need to understand why writing is important before we can understand why planning on paper may be beneficial to us. Writing itself, the act of handwriting, does a number of cool things for our brain. The main thing is that it improves learning and cognitive function. I'm doing this all in shades of blue today because blue was the color I always associated with English class when I had those like colored folders in elementary school, middle school, and high school. Let me know down in the comments what color you associated with English and with writing when you were in school. I will die on the hill that math was red. Basically, the actual formation of letters activates the whole brain. This is actually down to the way you form letters on the page. So your body and your brain is being lit up when you write a letter A compared to a letter B, compared to a letter C. These are all different shapes that your brain has to make in rapid formation in order to form a word, like rabbit, for example. I had to physically type out and do a different hand motion for each and every one of those letters. Because the action for all of these are different, my whole brain muscle is literally working harder to think about and translate the idea of rabbit from my head into the written word. So the act of writing connects the pieces of your brain that are associated with motor function, that are associated with learning, memory, spatial reasoning. All of these different areas are coming together to help you form the word rabbit. Now, compare this activity where I'm forming letters, creating loops, creating swirls, to this activity. One of typing. If I have a keyboard in front of me and I'm trying to type rabbit, those actions I'm doing are not like sort of a motor functions action that really takes a lot of cognitive work for my brain to output. It's just this tap, this tap, this tap, this tap, this tap, this tap. Those actions that your hands are doing are so similar to one another that it doesn't actually engage the entirety of your brain the way handwriting does. So typewriting can be fast, but it's not necessarily the full brain activity that handwriting is, meaning the things you type don't actually get committed to long-term memory. Your brain doesn't have to work to form them, to understand them, to put things in your own words. It's much easier to do stream of consciousness and just copy down what the professor is saying rather than trying to translate what the professor is saying into your own words, into your own shorthand, so that when you write it out, you understand it. There's a whole process that's just missing when you type out something on a keyboard. This is also true for people who like tablet writing. So writing out things on an iPad or using a form of note-taking that is handwriting but on a digital surface. This activation of your brain still rings true. It doesn't have to be on a physical piece of paper. It can be on an electronic device. It just matters that you are writing. Now, all that said about how you can achieve the same sort of cognitive function benefits from writing on a tablet as you can on paper, I would highly recommend trying to write on paper if you're using it as a productivity technique. And this is because paper planning keeps you out of your technology, specifically your phone. How often do you pick up your phone to write something down or check on a task that you are doing, and you end up getting sucked into social media or start playing a game or check your messages? Our phones have so many distractions on them. It's basically like walking into a casino and trying to find a notebook amidst all the flashing lights. It's so challenging for your brain to stay focused when it sees all of that color and all of that energy and all of those apps that are trying to get your attention. It's so hard for your brain to stay focused. So writing things on paper and writing things down away from your technology keeps you from opening up your iPad or opening up your phone and seeing a different app that you weren't intending to go into and getting distracted and sidetracked. I actually just made a video about how I am trying to limit my phone's capabilities. I'll put a screenshot of my current phone home screen and what it looks like up on the screen screen right now. And you can see the apps, the colors, the motion, it's all removed because I really hate this feature of our smartphones, how distracting it is. If you want to see how I did this, I will leave the link to that video up in the comments. I'm not going to go through it here, but just know that even with those additions and those modifications, I still get distracted on my phone sometimes when I go in to check something productive or to do something productive. And I'm like, you know what? The Wordle ain't gonna play itself. I guess I'm here and I gotta do this. But when I'm planning on paper, I don't have that urge because the option is simply not there. So by writing things down on paper, planning on paper, brainstorming on paper, I'm actually doing myself a great service because I'm reducing the amount of chances I have to be distracted while I'm in the middle of that process, since I'm not like with my technology when I'm doing that. I'm running out of blue, so we're doing green, even though green is objectively the science color. Another way writing is very effective, especially in a planning and productivity context, is that when we write things out, our brain actually makes a stronger connection between ourselves and our identities with the plans we are writing out. This actually doesn't have anything to do with writing in pen. We think of permanence, commitment, we think of pens over pencils, but actually what this has to do with is the fact that like when you are doing this whole learning and cognitive function thing, when you're forming out the letters, what you're doing when you write something out by hand is you're making a promise to yourself that you're going to actually do it. So for example, you are 42% more likely to achieve written goals. That whole brain exercise that we're doing when we handwrite helps us commit things to memory and commit them to ourselves in a way that typing just doesn't. So our identity and our commitment to ourselves and our goals is actually seriously impacted by whether or not we handwrite them or we type them out on a screen. Taking a quick break here to talk about something that's in literally all of my videos, but I never mention, my standing desk. This bad boy is from FlexiSpot, who are also kindly sponsoring this video. It powers basically every single thing that I do. My day job, household admin work, and even this YouTube channel. We all know the feeling of being in the zone with a task, but feeling that kink in your neck or back when you've been hunched over a computer screen for hours on end. How are you supposed to stay productive in those moments? How? Standing desks are like the ultimate cheat code for working all day and still feeling like an actual human being while doing it. Whenever I feel my focus drifting away, I just hit the button to raise my desk up and it gives me a huge boost of energy working in a new position. I especially love this hack when it's after lunch and I don't want to fall into a food coma. I recently upgraded to the FlexiSpot E6, which is a great option if you need more room. FlexiSpot has a ton of sizes and options though, and they are all sturdy, durable additions to your workplace. This guy can lift up to 355 pounds, and there is a 15-year warranty on the desk frame, so it really lasts the test of time. So if any of this sounds up your alley, hit the link in my description box below and check out FlexiSpot's awesome array of standing desks. There's actually a huge Prime Day sale going on right now as this video goes up, so hurry on over there if you are interested. Thanks again to FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to planning on paper. All right, let's get into the fun stuff. Let's now talk about how you can effectively combine systems, because of course we may really like all those benefits of writing that I just talked about, but we often cannot fully separate ourselves from technology. We just live in the type of world that demands that we are constantly accessible via our phones, that we're checking our email on our phones, that we have some sort of team project management system that we have to keep up with on our phones for work or for personal projects. Plus, digital tools really do enable you to be very quick, very powerful, do a lot of things with automated systems that you can't necessarily do on paper. So I definitely see the value of technological systems, but we want to get also those good benefits from writing things out. So here's how you can get started. The first thing that I'm going to recommend is that you just start planning your weeks on paper. This is what I do at the start of the week. I look at my Google Calendar where all of my appointments have been moving around and shifting and changing all month. You know, people reschedule things with you, the calendar invite moves, all that kind of stuff. But at the start of the week, what's coming up for the rest of the week is usually pretty much set. So I sit down at the start of the week and I map out all the meetings I have. I map out when I'm working. I map out when I'm filming, when I have personal time. Sometimes I add things like, oh, I woke up late this day, or I watched House of the Dragon this night. But for the most part, this is just a once a week activity that I do in order to handwrite things out so that my coming weekly schedule is committed to memory. This takes 10 minutes. It's so easy, and it helps me get that mind-body connection via the act of writing it out. Obviously, things are still going to change. Meetings get canceled, meetings get moved the day before, so this isn't meant to be a perfect reflection of what I
actually did. It's just meant to be that starting point where I map out what I'm doing so that I have sort of a working muscle memory when I'm going throughout my week of what I need to be doing when. And I can always reference my Google Calendar to see when those appointments actually are. This is a vertical weekly page from a planner called the Sterling Ink Common Planner. It's a really nice, sort of like luxurious planner, I would say. The paper is really nice. The branding is really nice. You don't have to buy a planner this nice to get this benefit. You can seriously just write it out on a piece of paper, hours of 6 a.m. to 12 p.m., Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever you want, and just get the same benefit by doing that. I like it in a planner, but you can also just do this on a piece of paper. The second thing I would recommend is to start carrying a pocket notebook. This is a pocket notebook from Moleskine. It is literally their pocket size. It's about the size of a cell phone, and I carry this with me everywhere I go. So even when I don't have my full-size, bigger planner, I have this tiny pocket notebook, which means I can always use this as an alternative when I want to write down a note and I'm on the go. I can always open this up to a blank page, scribble down the note, and then deal with it later so I'm not going into my phone. When you carry around a pocket notebook, you will always have something in which to handwrite something down or do a sketch or otherwise create that mind-body connection via the written word. And let me tell you, using this as a replacement to default going to my notes app has saved me so much time because I'm not actually then in my phone dawdling, dilly-dallying, and doing other stuff. Here's an example of a page that I used while I was out and about. I needed to pack my car for a trip, and so I just diagrammed it out here. I also wanted to meal plan for a week, so I mapped it out here. This is just stuff that I could do on paper that was super easy, a great way to visualize what I was thinking about and commit all this to memory rather than trying to do it on a phone, writing it out in a notes app in a way that wasn't actually going to be very helpful to me. So it keeps you off your phone and it always gives you an opportunity to write. You can also start practicing writing on paper and planning on paper by starting with a simple to-do list. So every day I look at my vast productivity management system and I write out the things that I am planning to do that day from that system. For work, I use Asana. Personal, I use Things 3 or AccuFlow. I use a lot of different products in a digital context because many of them have project planning and deadline capabilities that just writing it out on a piece of paper doesn't necessarily have. But at the start of every day, if I'm coming in and I'm looking at what I need to do and I'm handwriting that out, I get a lot out of prioritizing and just putting down on paper what I'm planning to do that actual day. And then I can be in paper and not in my computer or my phone. Another way that this really helps you can see also on this page that I do some journaling. If I'm listening to a podcast or watching a video, or if I have an idea, I often will write these things out while I'm going throughout my day, which just means then I have it written down. I'm committing quotes I like to memory, hacks I like to memory, but ultimately these ideas stay on the page and don't go anywhere else because instead of Googling them or trying to find something about them on social media, I'm just writing them down and ending the process there. I will say also the to-do list system is very helpful because when you are writing things down, you can see what tasks sort of repeat and maybe what you are focusing on and not focusing on. So for both of these lists, I tried to write a pretty short amount of things that I needed to do, and I got most of them done, but you'll notice that there's a few items that were migrated forward. That's what this little arrow means, migrated forward to the next day. And the things I migrated, I did get some of them done, but there's one item I needed to start an outline and create name suggestions for a new page on the website that I manage. And both of these days, I just didn't do that. So that means I have to rewrite it again when I get to Wednesday and I'm writing out my Wednesday tasks. I need to put that down again. So it's helping me actually practically experience the exhaustion of not doing one of my priorities because I keep having to migrate it forward. So you can see how you really do have a stronger relationship with the tasks and priorities when you are writing them out and rewriting them out. Lastly, I would say have a good planning system. So if you look at your month, every single week, take some time. It can be a Monday morning. I really like Monday mornings. It can be a Sunday afternoon. Heck, if you feel like your week starts on a Wednesday, it can be a Wednesday. It doesn't matter when you do this during the week, but once a week, you need to engage with a good processing system. You have to go through through all of the notes and tasks you have collected on paper, in digital, and organize them into one database. I know a lot of people in the paper planning community like to have one dedicated planner that they call their archive. It's where everything gets fully put and like committed down on paper in a physical archive that then that person can reference for the future. I myself like a digital archive. So when I write down notes, like this column right here is full of notes. There's a productivity hack that I thought of, and then there's also a quote that I really like. What I will often do in my planning session is I will come in here and I will either take a picture of the content or I will type out the content into my notes app of choice. Happens to be Apple Notes, but you can use any note system you want. And that way I get all the benefits to learning and cognitive function that writing these things out by hand gave me. And when I put these into my digital note-taking system, that can serve as an archive for these pieces of information or knowledge so that in the future I can take advantage of the sorting and searching features inherent to a digital notes platform and find these again and then use them in the appropriate contexts. So it enables me to get that handwriting benefit and to take advantage of what digital note-taking systems are really built for, which is search and sorting. There are so many ways that you can combine digital systems with analog systems. My channel is a really great resource for all of this kind of stuff because I do swing on the pendulum all the time between both. I'm going to be posting some more planner content soon because right now I happen to be swinging back into the planner sphere, so get excited for that. But I promise, as always, my tips will be relevant whether or not you're using a digital system or a paper system, because that's just the kind of girly I am. I swing back and forth, and so I want to make sure you know that you can swing back and forth too. I swing on the pendulum all the time from digital systems to paper systems, and I usually end up somewhere in between. Let me know what you guys use and how you guys are combining these two methods down in the comments section below. I would love to know. If you like this video, you might like the video right here next to my head in which I go into greater detail about combining my digital and analog systems. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, for being subscribed, for being awesome. I love you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.